Well, hey, diet disruptors, Carrie here, and I'm so excited. Let me tell you why. Because um, my kids are back in school. Now, today they're not, it's a holiday, and I get that, but they're back. They're back in school. And it's been since really, March 2020 until they were really there. And so I'm really excited because life is starting to get a little bit more back to normal. I feel like I've said this multiple times, and then I hear more stuff on the news, and then it's like, going all over the place. But September for me, and remember, I was a teacher for 24 years, you guys. September for me is like this new, fresh start. Right. So put in the comments if September for you is kind of like a fresh start too. Right in the comments, fresh start. If you're like, okay, it's a fresh start for me, I am getting myself together. Now, today we're going to really talk about something that I have been hearing a lot about lately, and I just want to call it out. I just want to dig into this. I have heard so many people, whether it's my friends, whether it's my colleagues, whether it's clients who often or almost always become my friends too. Whomever I'm talking to, they're literally talking about how life has kind of gotten out of control. And I remember saying back when things started opening up, it was like we went from 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, right? But I will say summertime, regardless of whether or not we're in the COVID era or not, always seems to throw us off. Okay. And so I want to know if things have been a little out of control for you, whether it's your eating, your routines, your house is a mess, whatever it is, I want you to write in the comments, out of control. Just tell me if things are out of control, then you are going to need to listen to what I have to say this week. So I'm really excited about this. And I want y'all to stay to the end because only a few times a year, we offer a very, very cool free opportunity, and we are going to do it now. So it is starting in September because it's such a good time. Most of us are out of control, on a way you can get your control back. Okay. So I'm going to offer a bunch of solutions today, or just ideas and strategies, and then a big one at the end that everybody I want to take advantage of. Okay. So as we are jumping into the kind of a new season, September always feels like a new season to me. I always think that I have like 3 quote unquote new years. Okay. And by saying new year, I always think January, nothing magical happens in January, right? January 1st, it's not like your life is all back in order. It's just this imaginary line that we seem to cross over that makes us feel like, okay, now I can get my life back together. But I want to know how many years you've been saying that. And I say I have 3 years every year where it's kind of like January is like that. And then again, I want to say like May, June, before we're getting into summer, especially as a teacher, June to me is like another threshold of another year where I'm like, well, now this summer I'm going to, clean out the garage and, do all the things that I've been putting off all spring. And then now is like another year, the start of a year. And while I think that's normal and totally okay, I also very much believe that the chaos that goes on in all the seasons of our lives is not going to change, you guys. It just looks different. Now that the kids are back in school, let's not kid ourselves. The chaos will continue. It will just look different than it did in the summer, right? And yes, we want to get through the holiday season and all of that. But let's be honest, January ends up becoming just as chaotic. And a lot of the reason why we can't kind of see progress or do the things that we want to do during those chaotic times is because we don't know how to keep control in different seasons of our life. And that's what we're going to talk about, how we get back control when life feels like it's out of control. But I really want you to think about the fact that the new season, kids going back to school, end of the holidays, the start of summer, it doesn't really change the chaos. And honestly, the excuses that we put in front of us as to why we can't fill in the blank, why we can't get our health in order, why we can't do certain, join a gym or whatever it is. There's always this kind of excuse that we use. Now, I talk about excuses and people get mad at me a little bit when I say it's an excuse because it sounds so negative. And if I say, well, that's a good reason, people then think, yeah, okay, well, that makes me feel better. But at the end of the day, a reason is just a fancy, positive, secret way of saying excuse. So I have this saying all the time. In fact, my members have a sticker that says this as well. It says, you can't always control your circumstances, but you can control your response. We have lived enough seasons. And if I have 3 years every year, I have done that long enough as a 46-year-old woman to recognize that what are we going to do? Just keep saying that it'll be better when the kids go to school. It'll be better after the holidays. It'll be better when the summer starts. We're just going to keep saying that year after year until when? Until we die, right? We do that week by week, saying, okay, next week it will be better. Next week things will calm down. I can focus on this next week. And next week comes and it doesn't happen. It's because we don't have the strategies in place to truly be able to take control, to truly be able to control our response regardless of the circumstances. So I want to tell you a little bit about an amazing couple named Stephen and Laura. Say hi to Stephen and Laura. I would love for you to show Laura some love. She is a diet disruptor. She loves us. We love her. She has done our programs, her and her husband together. And it was life-changing for many reasons. But say hi to Laura, because Laura has gone through a whole heck of a lot. Send her your love, send her some fire, say, hey, Laura. So Laura and her husband, Stephen, have been going through one of the hardest times anybody could ever go through. Laura is dealing with a very serious ovarian cancer. And she has been in the hospital, has been really struggling with lots and lots of aspects of a pretty advanced diagnosis. And thank God, we just got news last week that she's in remission right now. So yay. I'm so proud of you, Laura. She's such a gritty, hard-working, amazing woman who has absolutely been thrown one of the hardest deals in life. And she is now in remission. She is not out of the woods and she has to keep fighting. And it's still a reality, but we're making progress. And so I want to tell you about them because a couple of months before Laura got that diagnosis, they did our program. And it had been, honestly, decades and decades where it was, we'll do it later. We'll do it later. And slowly but surely, life just continued to throw them chaos with a whole lot of things that went on in their lives with their children and all of that. And then finally, one day they decided and they just made the decision. They said they're going to do this. And thank God they did. So for two months, they learned our approach. They dug in, they got a hold of their mindsets. They worked together as a couple. And it was at the end of those 2 months where they had both seen tons of progress, that all of a sudden Laura started having some very different pains and symptoms that seemed odd. But because the two of them had gone through this journey and knew they were really on their path to optimal health, the doctor right away said, we've got to do some tests, because the symptoms were very similar to symptoms that you would have with indigestion, with inflammation, with things that kind of go along with your food. And yet, because we had been really aware of what they were doing and they had seen lots of progress, the doctor was like, something's not right. And that's when we got the diagnosis. So thank God they had been doing it when they were doing it, because the doctor took those symptoms really seriously. We're able to rule out the things that, lifestyle changes should take care of. Now, the reason I tell you this, though, is because then right away they were thrown into this chaotic whirlwind of a life that was so easy to then just derail. And I remember Stephen saying to me, either on the phone, through text, in our membership group, thank God he had this lifestyle because it gave him the guardrails. It gave him the control when everything else was out of control. And I'm going to show you what those strategies are today. And I tell you about Stephen and Laura because there's no more chaos than that, y'all. They have 3 kids. Laura got the diagnosis that nobody wants to get, with a prognosis that was really, really scary. And yet they stayed the path. Stephen would often talk about how he was in the hospital all day long, but knew exactly what to do and how to do it to keep his mindset strong, to continue to do this day in and day out, and to fuel his body correctly. I mean, that if they can do that in the midst of that chaos, that is the epitome of you can't control your circumstances, but you can control your response. You just need to learn how. And so that's what we're going to talk about. So if life is out of control, and it likely is, let's not use that as an excuse anymore, you guys. Because life is going to be out of control. Life is going to be chaotic, whether you have kids or not, whether you're empty nesters or not. Life keeps going and we need to still stay the course. I say all the time, our body, what it wants, what it truly needs is for you to be consistent with it. You don't have to be perfect, but it is a trusting relationship that has to be built. I want you to think about any other relationship in your life. It has to be based on trust. And so think about how you build trust with somebody. You build trust with somebody with positive interactions consistently over time. Type in the word trust. Type in the word trust in the comments right now, because trust, positive interactions consistently over time is when your body will start to trust you. And thank God that once that trust is built, your body will work for you in the way that you always wanted those diets to do. It will absolutely transform into that best friend that you wanted it to be. And it will give you the strategies to be able to handle when life gets chaotic, because you have to keep going. You have to keep going. You can't control your circumstances, but you can control your response. And when you understand how to respond in a way that's going to serve your mind, your body, your soul, your family, I get it that it's easier to go off the rails when you don't have to think about it. But when you learn how to think about it, when you learn how to do it correctly, nothing can derail you. You can still have the circumstances, but imagine feeling empowered amongst them. There was nothing worse than feeling so out of control that Stephen had, because he couldn't do anything to help Laura, right? He couldn't fix this, but he could serve her. And he could serve himself so that he was healthy and strong and empowered and not full of all the chaotic mindset issues, not full of all of the victimized responses, so they could be there for her. And so let's dig in a little bit around this. Okay. So when life is out of control, one of the things that happens is that we get through our day, and tell me if this has ever happened to you, where you're just like, oh my gosh, today was so crazy. I didn't even have time to eat. I barely had time to pee. You were just like, my house is a mess. It's just like things happened around you and you had no control over any of them. The number one reason that happens is a 2-word phrase: self-awareness. Okay, I'm going to tell you this phrase that we say all the time in our membership group. Self-consciousness is a disease. Self-awareness is health. I want you to think about self-consciousness. Self-consciousness is you looking at everybody else's life and comparing it to your own, right? Comparing somebody else's chaos to your chaos, comparing their Facebook, their Instagram, their Snapchat, their TikTok feed to yours. That is only going to ride you down this rabbit hole of despair and disempowerment, which makes you feel more and more out of control. But self-awareness, when you are aware of your triggers, when you are aware of your surroundings, when you are aware of what's going on around you and can recognize the moment where you need to pull into yourself a response that is controlled. Oh, now, girlfriend, that is health. So it's not like you have to always respond correctly, appropriately, perfectly, but the first step is being aware. And sometimes it's just a matter of just being aware of your body, where you are standing in your presence. Are you clenching your legs? Are you clenching your teeth? Just that level of awareness is the very first step. And it might sound hokey and odd, but getting control back first means that you have to be aware that you are out of control. Because being aware of being out of control means that you might be able to take a step into doing something about it. One way that I am aware that I become self-aware is I say things out loud. And I tell people this all the time. The stuff, the chaos, the insanity lives on the right side of our brain. The right side of our brain is our beautiful, creative, artistic, yet messy side of our brain. We convince ourselves we are right when it lives on the right side of our brain. Our thoughts and our beliefs dictate our actions because it comes from that right side of our brain. And we agree with ourselves. When we say we're not good enough, we agree with it. So that self-awareness is really important to work on by saying it out loud, just by saying it out loud, even if it's to nobody. You're driving in the car and you literally say, I am eating a bag of chips right now because I'm late and there was nothing else in the house for me to eat. So I grab these on my way out the door because Carrie says I need to eat and fuel myself, whatever, right? But just by saying that out loud, it moves it to the left side of your brain. The left side of your brain is your problem-solving side of your brain. You might not be able to solve that problem right then and there, but you are going to be more aware of it. And then the next time that happens, you are going to be able to be in front of it instead of behind it. Okay. So the key to getting out of control at first is just around self-awareness. And so here's what I want you to write: self-awareness. Put that down in the comments. Self-awareness. Write that down there now. If you're watching on replay, tell me that you're watching on replay. Okay. And let me see if you guys have self-awareness. That is health. Okay. So I want you to think about, you're out of control. And maybe, gosh, our first step in self-awareness is just even recognizing that. A lot of us do though, right? A lot of us are like, it's just out of control, but as if we're a victim of it. Okay. But when the exception to what you want to be doing becomes the norm, things are out of control. So, if you grab that bag of chips and started driving your car and you were like, that never happened, you're usually pretty on it. Fine. The exception becomes a norm. There's no guilt. You're aware of it. You move on. Okay. But when the exception becomes a norm and you're doing more and more things that are not serving your body, your mind, your soul, your family, that's when we need to get real and aware. Okay. All right. So there's three things that I talk about all the time in terms of how we make the transformation. I call it the trifecta. Okay. It has to do with our mind, our body, and our sustainability skills. Okay. So I want you to write that down. Put them in the comments. Mind, body, sustainability. These are the three things that I know with the years of how I've been coaching women. And what sticks is that if we don't deal with these three things, we aren't going to be able to deal with life when it gets chaotic. Okay. So let's first talk about our mind, our mindsets. What our thoughts and our actions, our thoughts and our beliefs dictate our actions, and it lives right within our mindsets. And so are our mindsets empowered or disempowered? Okay. And so here's two things that I'm going to have you do so that you can start thinking about whether or not this is an issue for you. First of all, why is it important for you to do the things that you feel out of control and not doing? Why is that important? Answer that. Write it down. Get yourself some time to sit down and say, okay, I am out of control and I am not taking care of myself. And these are the things I'm not doing, but why does it matter? Right? I know that I talk about this in my membership group all the time, that my garden, I decided to abandon it this year. I decided not to grow it. Every year I start a new garden, and then every year it's like life gets out of control. And I'm like, I abandoned my garden, and the fruit that's beautiful just rots, and it's just a nightmare. And so when I actually sat down, I was like, is this important? Is it really important for me that I have a garden? I feel like I don't have the capacity for it right now. So no, it actually isn't important. But when I think about my exercise, my food, certain pieces of the puzzle that I know are important for my long-term health, I have a really strong why as to what I'm doing and why I'm doing it for my health. I want to be a grandmother that is able to kick a soccer ball with their grandchildren. I know that a body in motion stays in motion and body at rest will stay at rest. And I have to keep moving because I'm not going to relive the generational experiences that I have seen with my grandparents and great grandparents. It's not going to happen to me. So my why is important, right? So you've got to write that down. If you are out of control and not doing certain things, is your why there? And then I want you to think about intentional daily practice. Intentional daily practice. When are you going to intentionally sit down and say, these are the things I'm going to do? And then when are you going to do it? But that intentional daily practice of sitting down and planning for yourself, getting your mind right. I don't care if it's 5-10 minutes in the morning or 5-10 minutes at night before you go to bed. Where's your intentionality around you, what you're doing and why you're doing it? Because if you are living where you are not aware of what's going on and you lay down your head at night and you felt like you were literally on that whirlwind, what is that carnival ride that goes around and around? Then you need to take some time to get recentered. Recenter yourself. And I can't tell you what a difference that makes. So that's your mind, right? Get your why really clear and recenter yourself 10 minutes every night or every morning. Get yourself clear on what your intentions are. Okay. Sustainability. So in order to do something for the long term, when it comes to nutrition, exercise, getting to your optimal health, because when you get to your optimal health, you're going to get to your optimal weight. Then I want you to spend your time planning out your day like you do a budget. Now, some of you might say, I don't do a budget either. Well, okay, I get it. But let's use the idea of a budget. We are only given a certain amount of time. We can always make more money. We cannot make more time. And that is scary to me. Okay. So I take my time really seriously in those 10 minutes every single day that you are intentional around what you want and why you want it. I want you to look at your day. Time block it out. Get a planner that actually has the hours that go by like 30-minute increments and actually take that to-do list, take that exercise, figure out what it is and time block it in. Make that 10 minutes really purposeful. What is your intention and when are you going to do it? Make the appointments with yourself because that you like, think about it. If you had a doctor's appointment at 9 o'clock in the morning, you would be there. Right? Make that appointment at 9 o'clock in the morning for yourself to go do the exercise or whatever it is that you're doing when you're doing it. Okay. And then the third thing here is around your body. And this is the thing that I think was huge for Stephen and for so many people, right? Now, I will say everybody needs their mindset work and understand sustainability skills. Motivation is not a strategy, everybody. You can't just be motivated at this time of year and say, oh my gosh, I'm so out of control. I'm motivated because motivation waxes and wanes. So you have to get your mindset right. You have to have strong time management and sustainability skills, and you have to know what the heck to do. And I can guarantee you, if you are saying, I just try to eat healthy, you're doing it wrong. It's not that healthy is not accurate, but we don't understand food. And when you understand food and how it works in your body, and you understand the concept of blood sugar stabilization, how to improve your digestion, how to reduce inflammation, how to improve your circulation, all of those pieces can come with food. And it's simple and it's sustainable and it's satisfying. It is life changing. Here's the thing. A lot of you know how to eat healthy. You don't know how to eat correctly. Those are the guardrails that allow you to know the formula of how to eat. So when life gets chaotic, you know what to grab. You could eat in any situation at any time, anywhere. I could go to McDonald's if I had to and be able to stay on point with my approach because I understand food and I understand how it works together. And so that is key. What we keep doing is looking for a new diet. And the diet not only does not serve our body, but it screws up with our mindsets and we can't do it forever. So I want you to think about the fact that when you're looking for diets, it goes absolutely against those three strategies, mind, body, sustainability. That is the key for being able to get yourself back in control. Getting in control by doing Weight Watchers or doing fasting or by doing keto is the opposite of what you want. But we have been told that over and over again. And oh my gosh, counting calories. I mean, if you already have a chaotic life, do you think tracking your food and counting calories is going to make it easier? Heck no. So you need to understand how to eat and why you should be eating that way, like a full-on education. Okay. And so that is what I'm so excited about because only 3 times a year. And remember, like I have this thing about threes, 3 times a year, I kind of start a new year. But 3 things, mind, body, sustainability, and only 3 times a year do we offer a free seminar to teach all of this in depth. So you will learn about your mindsets. You're actually going to dig in and ask yourself some of the really tough questions, because I guarantee you your thoughts and your beliefs are dictating your actions, and you might not even realize that they're there. We are going to ask you questions that we know, that we ask our clients, that we dig in with our clients, that are going to get you to a whole new place in literally a day. And then we're going to teach you about your body. We're going to teach you about food. We're going to teach you the combination and the formula, so you have those guardrails, so you can win when life gets chaotic. And then we're going to show you exactly what we mean by sustainability, why motivation isn't a strategy, and how to get yourself to a place of sustainability that you can do forever. And we'll give you the strategies and the keys to doing that. This free seminar is something that my coaches and I work really hard to put together, and we love to do because we get to talk to and influence a whole lot of women. You need this, and we can't wait for you to have it. So it is Labor Day today as I'm recording this, and it will be out on our podcast. And so registration is open, but it will only be open this week. And we start full on Monday, the 13th. Okay. We start full on Monday, the 13th. The weekend before, we're going to do some bonus posts. So we want you in there now. So go to disruptivenutrition.com/seminar and register. We're going to have 2 groups going. Some an East Coast time and a Pacific Coast time. So if you are on the East Coast or Central time zone, then go for the East Coast time. That'll probably be the best one, because we're going to do live coaching calls at night. We're going to do lessons in the morning. It's not going to take that much time each day, but you are worth this commitment, and it's free. So do this, because I promise you it is worth it. If you are in the mountain time or Pacific time, then you're going to choose the Pacific time group, I think. I mean, unless you have a work schedule that's not traditional. And if you are on neither of those, if you're coming at us from somewhere around the world, then just pick the time zone that you think will work best for you. But I promise you, mind, body, sustainability, those are the 3 things that you need to be exploring around the concept of self-awareness, so that when life gets out of control, you can keep control, because you can control your response every time. You just need to learn how to do it. So I'm hoping that these strategies help to scratch the surface a little bit, and that you're going to dig into that seminar with us. Let me know in the comments. Are you joining the seminar? Yeah, it's right in seminar if you're going to be there, if I'm going to see you there, because I am excited. I love this stuff. Teaching is kind of my superpower. I love to teach. My coaches love to teach. And it is a rare opportunity that we just siphon out a whole week of our life to be able to focus